YouTubers, and welcome to another servicing video from R216, and as you can see it's an Airfix 042. Turning round to see the box, it says it's a 54152 model. It's a tank class 1400 for the Great Western Railway. The box itself is in pretty good condition. I don't know how old it be, but well looked after. Bought from eBay as a non-runner, so I'm just going to gently open up the box. I don't want to try and damage it. Slide it out, and even the polystyrene looks very clean. So carefully removing the locomotive from the packaging. Looks as if it's been in and out a few times because of the grease, or maybe it's more oil. Let's leave that aside. Sold as a non-runner, so I don't know how accurate that is. I'm going to just pull in my test track and let's have a little look and see what this does or doesn't does. Oh. Sounds like the motor's turning, but the wheels aren't, and there's a sort of grinding-ish. Okay, maybe gearing, split gear, something like that. Okay, well, at least we know the motor's running. Not having worked on one of these before, I'm going to take dismantling one small step at a time. I'm looking for suitably opening devices. Now, is that a chimney screw I see? It certainly feels like it. And does it allow any access? Still no access. Oh, there we go. Perhaps a clip at the back. I should perhaps have tried this off camera. This screw here is just appealing to me. I'll try using a suitable screwdriver. Oh, just released the motor. Well, that's handy to know. Right, let's put that to one side. The body shell in good condition. Leave that to one side. The mechanism is sticking. Okay, so we can see there's going to be a potential problem somewhere. And here we have the motor. So I'm presuming that the motor itself will be okay. Oh, and there's some springs. Where did that come from? 2 screws and a spring. Not really sure what's happened there. So is this a coupler spring perhaps? Well, we can try and work that out afterwards. Applying voltage through my power application probe. Yep, that seems to be lively enough. This, of course, is a drive shaft. So I'll leave the motor aside for the time being. It suggests that the trouble may lie in this casing. So I can simulate the motor by driving the drive shaft. And as I turn the drive shaft, you can see that the wheels are quite stationary. So, what's my next step? Well, looking underneath I can see a screw holding the base plate. And that seems like a good place to go. So, put that in there. Are about to remove. There we go. I'm just concerned about things going ping. And bits flying hither and thither. So is that clipped onto the front? I see another screw here at the front. So let's take that one out. That seems to be attached to this weight assembly. Yep, there we go. And that contains the worm screw. And here we have a drive wheel. And I suspect the interface between this and this has somehow failed. I'm just going to try and turn that. Yep, it turns. So that'll be cleaned, lubricated. Now, a couple of little rotating shafts here. No, I think they're pickup springs. Okay, so at this stage I'm going to take a little breather. I'm going to try and remove this wheel and have a look at this drive gear. As I discover things, I thought it'd be useful to just let you keep updated. This bottom base plate seems to be free at the rear end of the locomotive, and at the front I can see two clips, because this part is metal, this is plastic, and this seems to be where they are joined at the front. So I'm just going to carefully prise these apart. I can feel this part moving. And of course I'm always trying to be careful that I don't bend something beyond its limits through my ignorance. So the thing is, if it doesn't go right away, you think, well, I'll just try a bit harder. Sometimes it works and at other times it don't. And these little brass things here, I believe, are the pickup arms. Yeah, that's what they are. So I'll leave those aside. Right, so I've still got this little bit that's not too far away from coming out. I've reduced the model to the single piece chassis and the wheel sets, drive wheel and trailing wheel. And if I gently rotate, it jams there. In the other direction, and it jams again. And it doesn't matter which of the wheels I rotate, jams, and forward, jams again. So I've taken the wheels out and I've looked carefully for obstructions, say in the bearing well, the bearings here. I've looked casing there and there. I thought it might be these sandpipes, one of which is broken off, but they don't come anywhere near the wheels. I've checked inside the wheels for obstruction round the rim. on the inside surfaces. I can't see anything at all. I've even placed it on a piece of track, and let's see if I can emulate that. I'll maybe move it over this way, and as I move it forward, it's jammed there. Take it back the way, and it jams there. So if I look at the angle between the jams, so there it's just beyond 3 o'clock. Take it back just before 6 o'clock, which is roughly about 4/5 of its travel, and I can't find the jamming. So my next stage is I have to isolate the wheels to see if one wheel is causing the jamming rather than the other. For all the world, this looks like a quartering problem. If I just ease the chassis along, the wheels jam there, and there, and there. Now, I have examined these wheels very carefully, and unless they're out by something like half of a degree, I can't really find it. However, on eBay I found another 14XX. In fact, I found 2 of them in pretty poor condition. So this one has been stripped down completely. So I'm going to take the wheels out of this and put them in here, and hopefully that should solve my problem. And just to note, these wheels and conrods have been painted black. So these are the replacement wheels. Put that one aside. Oops. So, these are my original wheels. These are the replacement wheels. In which way? This way. Right, so hopefully this should solve my problem. What? Can you believe that? It's jamming. These wheels are jamming. Now, of course, I haven't tested these in the original chassis. Right, so this chassis just started getting correctly that way. And one distinguishing feature, I've only got 1 sandpipe on my chassis, 2 sandpipes in the new chassis. These are the new wheels. I say new relatively, of course. Put them in there. So, do these work? They run fine. Right, I'm trying to take my brain around this. These are my original wheels, which jammed in the original chassis. But look at that. It's not the wheels at all. It's the chassis. I was not expecting that. Replacement chassis, original wheels. Original chassis, replacement wheels. Jam, jam, jam. So there's something amiss with this chassis. And I can't see what it is. I don't know if it's been distorted, looking for a twist, for a break, looking for a swelling. I can't see it anywhere, so I'm just going to put this aside and I shall rebuild using this replacement chassis. To begin with my rebuild, I'm going to start with the motor. Now, I'm not actually going to clean the plates of the commutator because, let's be honest, it doesn't take long till it gets carbonised again. So I'm just going to give it a little dab of metal polish on there and wind that round, and that's just going to work its way in. It's going to clean the grooves, it'll be fine. So just apply a little bit of lubrication at bearings here at the magnet end, and there at the commutator end, and there, one just in there and in here. Universal joint which unclips. Just going to put in a little dab of petroleum jelly and in like so. So, lubricated, cleaned, jellified, and a quick test, minimal voltage, and the motor runs pretty well. I watched a number of people repairing these 14XXs, and I would like to say that I picked up one or two hints and worked out one or two things of my own. However, there's one thing which has confused me slightly, so I would like to clarify that. The two power inputs to the motor are this pin here and this plate. Now, I've seen some people insulate this plate from the chassis. However, I believe that's incorrect. When the motor fits into the chassis, this pin is fed through the chassis. The motor sits there, held by a screw in there, and that pin protrudes through that little hole there. There is a spring goes on there, and that actually contacts in the base plate with that copper strip. So that copper strip through that pin here feeds one end of the motor, and this plate here actually makes contact with the chassis to provide the circuit. And just to show that, I'm going to hold the motor in place, take my power probe, and from the chassis to the pin, the motor runs. Now, I've had one or two people mention the possibility of shorting, but in my view, as I was watching it, they seem to be concentrating on this end here, and I've seen people put insulating tape there. I don't think you need it. I think the problem could be here, because it's such a fine hole there. However, if the motor is inserted correctly and the spring is attached, and I think I've got a spring here, let me just get this one out. It's quite a fine gauge spring, and when it's on there, there is still plenty of freedom round about. But if anything's going to short, it's going to be there. Power pickups from the track are fed through the rims of the drive wheels and the pilot wheel and fed to the inner rim there behind the wheels, and this is where the pickup happens. Pickup is used, it comes from 3 pairs of spring loaded contact pins. There are 3 in the underplate which are spring loaded, and there are 3 which are fitted to the main chassis here. This one there, one in here, and for the pilot wheel, this slot here. Now I'm trying to be careful with these two sandpipes, so I'm going to fit these pins off camera. So there we have the 3 pins in the upper chassis, 3 pins in the lower chassis, and they will in fact contact behind the rims of the wheels. I'm going to begin the assembly by fitting the worm screw into the gear housing. The shaft fits through this hole at the back, and this only sits in one way as far as I can see, so it sits snugly there. If I rotate it, it doesn't fit as well. Maybe that's just me, but if it fits in there, I'm going to fit it there. So a little bit of lubrication on the bearings for the housing in there, and a little bit of grease onto the threads of the worm screw. The gear housing and the upper chassis engaged together. It's quite a tight fit because the gear housing is going to press on these contact pins, so that's quite a neat fit. So you just have to make sure it's sitting properly, like so. It's hooked at this end and screwed in this end, so this little screw fits in the top, or should I say the front, and in there, probably the wrong screwdriver. Yep, I had that right earlier on, there we go. And that holds the upper chassis together. Okay, so it's starting to take shape. I've left the chimney on there just to keep it there in case I lose it. And there we have the gear housing, the worm screw, and hopefully that should show signs of operation. There it goes. I'm ready to fit the wheels, so I'm just going to apply just a touch of oil to the bearings for each of the drive wheels and the pony wheel, the pilot wheel at the back. So. Drive wheels, okay, again making sure that those pips for the oil reservoirs appear to go up the way as the locomotive will run. Fits in there. Avoid the sandpipes, and like so. That should sit in pretty neatly, and like so. There we go. Watching the sandpipes don't get snagged on the wheel spokes. Nearly there. Good. Looks alright there. Oh, and I put the wheels in upside down. Can you add on that? After all the care was taken. Right, let's try again. In like that. Sandpipes out the way. Sink it down. Come on. There we go. Out the way, that's it. Good. So hopefully these should move if I apply tunneling to the gears, if I can find it. Where is it? In there somewhere. Oh, it's finding the gear shaft in the dark. There we go, in there. Sorry about this, folks. In there, and wheels are turning. So a little bit of grease on the wheels of the gear. The rear pilot wheels sit in their bearings, making sure that the contact pins are against the rim. The spring keeps it up so it won't sit properly until the main underplate goes on. So I'm going to fit the undercarriage to the main chassis, and before I do so, I've just checked that the coupler correction springs are situated on the main chassis. Pony is held in this bogie frame, sit over there, and then it's just a case of carefully settling this over the chassis. These sandpipes have to be carefully manoeuvred out of the way, both in the centre and at the front. So I just try and carefully take this one out of the way. There we go, come on, out we come. Alright, that's in there, that's in there, that's in there. Still caught here a bit. There we go. And I'm checking that the contact pins are settling behind the wheels. And hopefully, if I've done this correctly, these two parts should basically clip into place. Clips at the back, they're okay, and there, clips at the front. Just making sure no obstruction. This is a bit tighter. There we go. So, doesn't look too bad. We just check the wheels are okay. I'm getting movement on the drive wheels. Yeah, so 2 screws, one in the centre, this one in the rear is for holding in the motor. So I'll get this one into the centre. When I'm fitting the motor, I must remember to attach this little spring to the contact pin here. It's fine. And that is fed down into the chassis. I have to also make sure I get the drive shaft at both ends engaged. I probably need to rotate the armature to get it to engage. I'm sorry about this, I'm hiding all the action here. Right, come on, in you get, that's good. And the spring is sitting there, so I'll lower the pin onto the spring. Not missed. That's it. That sits in there. And then this longer Phillips head screw holds the motor in place. Oh, sorry, wrong screwdriver. Where's my Phillips gone? Typical. Lost my Phillips. Anyway, I'll get that done and come back and see the results. Okay, so that's my 14XX chassis reassembled. I've made sure these are out of the way. And now I've got my power probe. I've got about 4 or 5 volts on there. Contacts are made through all 6 wheels. So I'm going to use these pilot wheels to see if this works. And that doesn't look too bad at all. And in the opposite direction. Bit geary, but it's working. Working indeed. Try a different pair of wheels. Yeah, of course the power probe is stopping the wheels from turning. But, yeah, that's okay. Right. So I think my next thing, get it on a little bit of test track and see if it runs by itself. So are we ready for this? Let's see if we can get it to go forward. Go back again. On my test track, it's needing a bit of clean. Yep, really. Oops. There we go. Right, let's try and bring it up nice and slowly. Yep, my test track definitely needing cleaned. Lying idle for a couple of weeks. And back again, here it comes. Okay, so, wow, that was different. Anyway, it's looking nice. I think I'll get the chassis on, I'll get the chimney fitted, get a couple of couplers on there, and then see if we can get it set up on the rolling road. Yeah, okay, don't go too far away, folks. First of all, the body shell looks pretty good. It's got its decals, its numbers, got the handrail, buffers, got a vacuum pipe there, and it's also got these two sets of pipes that run from the front to the rear. And when I'm fitting them on the chassis, just here there's a little hole, and there's one on the other side, and at the back there's just about, where is it, there, yeah, there's another little hole and one at the back. So these pipes have got to fit in there. I think there's a little hook, there's a little lip, yeah, for the rear of the chassis. So that should sink in about there. Checking everything's out of the way. That's a good. That's a good. Oh, sorry, I missed this bit at the back. Try again in there. And come on, there, 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 and there. Clicks in there, and then the chimney with its screw in its location. Setting in, and I'm just going to fit these pipes. And the last one, there we go. Right, let's put it on the track. Yeah, nice. So the only thing I'll have to do now is fit the couplers, and they are clip-in. So if I can just put them out of my little box. There's one, and the other one is about here, and that should just clip into the rear. Yep, and into the front. And hopefully the correction springs will work. Good there. Good there. With the 14XX running on the rolling roads, I'm just going to recap of what I've done. When it came in, you may remember the gears were grinding, the motor was not turning the wheels, and it turned out that the wheels were jamming. Obviously I thought it's turned to quartering. I couldn't find a problem with that. Fortunately, I was able to pick up a spare chassis from eBay and buy switching around, I discovered that in fact it was the chassis itself causing the problem. I haven't spent the time trying to work out what the problem with the chassis is, so I'll maybe leave that for another day. Thank you for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed that. Hopefully you learned something, especially as I learned a few things as I went through that. If you did, maybe you'd comment and press the like button. If you haven't already subscribed, you might feel, oh, you'd like more of this, or you might not. Either way, thanks for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Take care of yourself, take care of everybody else, and from me, it's R216, it's bye for now.